Hi all together. Nice that you stay with us here. One of the last panel discussion of the day. So I encourage everybody to ask questions. Use the tool as you see it here. My name is Andreas Wasinski. I'm from SBD Automotive. We are a research and consulting company. And I'm happy here with a good audience there of different topics around the future of electric vehicle charging. We have heard today a lot about what are the different technologies we're facing there, swapping, different other topics we have shown today from different players and discussed. And we're talking about particular fast charging, but also new technologies like inductive charging. So with me, welcome here on stage. Just start from right to left, maybe. We have Christoph, yes. There. You are the first Christoph. We have another Christoph here. Dr. Christoph Ebert, head of EON Drive from EON Drive. We have another Christoph here, the Christoph Strecker, country manager DACH from IONITY. Then we go in the hardware. We have Markus Mildner there, CEO of eMobility from Siemens Smart Infrastructure. And last but not least, André Gronke, head of overseas product development from Farasis Energy Europe. So I think maybe some of you know the companies, maybe you know why for the certain topic they are on stage, but I think maybe it's best to just introduce yourself a bit and then we exchange a bit about the topic and what are your daily things you're carrying around, but also maybe what you are interested in. Maybe yes, you want to start.
I'm Christoph, happy to be here in Berlin. I'm responsible at EON Drive for the countries Germany, Austria and Switzerland, building up infrastructure for B2B customers. And a little bit my topic is that the innovations we are talking about here, like fast charging or inductive charging, are always linked to now the big chance of also involving the energy part in it, because in the end, the innovation must be an end-to-end innovation to leverage the whole amount of advantages for the customer.
That's good. I think advantage for the customer. We had customer-centric focus this morning, particularly in the session. So I think it's good to come from this end and not just technology. IONITY, what's your mission?
Yeah, hello everybody. Second Christoph, country manager for Germany, Austria, Switzerland in IONITY. So I'm basically taking care of the rollout in these 3 countries. And IONITY is a joint venture of car brands, so BMW, Mercedes, Volkswagen Group, Ford, Hyundai, Kia, and we have BlackRock as a financial investor. We are operating in 24 countries, just opened the 604th site, and our mission is to enable electric travel whole of Europe, and we focus on long-distance travel, so with 350 kilowatt charging stations, which enables us to charge 100 kilometers in 4 minutes and then help you as end customers to switch to electric mobility.
Good.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Markus Mildner. I work in Siemens. I'm responsible for eMobility in Siemens. What we do is basically we're doing hardware, software, and services for AC/DC fast charging. We're doing a complete electrical infrastructure for customers like these 2 colleagues here. And happy to be here today and discuss with all of you a little bit on which is the direction EV charging will take, what are the innovations which are needed there. And you've already talked a little bit about inductive charging. I guess we will talk about that later on a little bit more in depth. But also fast charging, what is the direction? And yeah, that's our business.
Perfect. And you come with the hardware, André, or?
Yes. So my name is André Gronke. I'm working for Farasis Energy Europe. So we are a developer and producer for lithium-ion battery technologies, so both cells, modules, packs, lately also sodium. And especially for fast charging, there's this challenge that you always have between range, fast charge, cost. So this is one thing where this collaboration is really important between the OEMs, but also the whole infrastructure topic, and not just for passenger cars, but also for light and heavy duty and transportation and energy storage.
Perfect. To wipe off the contract, just start with a poll. So make you active again. We have a little poll, the first poll we have there, as we just want to decide how long are drivers willing to wait while they recharge their car on the highway. So really interesting to understand your view. We did a kind of study with customers around UK and Germany. And actually there, to say from that study, there were still 73% okay to wait up to 20 minutes. I think that's good for a bio break, having a coffee. I think particularly on highway situation, 20 minutes was somehow acceptance. We heard, I would say, battery swap from NIO that takes less than 5 minutes. That was accepted. Less than 10 minutes, 97% was saying. So I think the audience is quite in the 15 minutes here. So it's about those things. So from that point of view, fast charging is really meant to not taking longer as you would normally stop on a highway, I would say. I think fast charging still not the make and break deal from that. The range anxiety is still there, but it's the support when you're going there and have the topic. From you, Christoph, and IONITY, Christoph, the rollout of charging infrastructure, because this is obviously key that enough infrastructure is there. Is that fast enough and matching the demands also? Obviously, the growth of BEVs is a bit slower there, but where do we see the infrastructure growing there?
So, I mean, I would say overall, I think we're doing pretty fine. Of course, there are per country huge differences in the EV adoption. Looking at Germany specifically, I think the HPC network has grown significantly over the past 2 or 3 years. So I think at the moment the demand is keeping up with the capacity installed. But of course, we expect an exponential growth in EVs in the future. So I think the big steps are ahead of us. And if we look at other countries like Spain, Portugal, Italy, Eastern Europe, there are basically much less cars. So I think there we are, in terms of IONITY, ahead of the market. But of course, if you look at Norway, for example, these stations are already crowded. And we also see it in Germany, especially at weekends or in the traveling season, that existing sites are already at capacity limit, so we have to observe it and then build more chargers, obviously. Yeah.
Mm. The issue, obviously, with fast charge, everybody wants to charge as fast as possible, but obviously there are maybe limits on the batteries. Or is it harming the battery of that? How do you see that? Everybody is a bit, I would say, lifetime of battery is a topic people are caring about.
Yeah, I mean, you hear this a lot, that the more you fast charge, let's say, the faster the battery degrades. But there's a lot of, let's say, a lot of more details that you really need to look into, because usually when you have this fast charging, the battery heats up because you put in a lot of current in a short amount of time. And therefore you need to ensure that, let's say, the cooling, or let's say to keep the cells in a good operational window, that this is feasible. And therefore usually we've also seen the trend now to go to 800 volts, because there, let's say, you have the same power that you can put in, but the current is lower, and therefore also from a let's say from a temperature perspective, it's much better. But in general, for the battery, it's not so much important how fast or how often you charge it, especially in the lower SOC areas. The cell can let's say, already incorporate a lot of current. I often make this comparison when you fill a glass of beer. So when the glass is empty, you can fill it in pretty fast, but then you need to ensure that it's not running over. And this is like the same with the battery, so that the fuller it gets, the slower you need to put in the intake.
So a clever battery management,
Exactly.
and maybe also preconditioning and something around to keep the life there.
Yes.
It's the key item there. We are talking now about charging on highways. Obviously, there are many more situations where I want to save my car, so at home, at work, or when I'm in a supermarket. So what use cases do you see there from EON Drive on that?
We serve customers in 3 situations, 3 use cases, which is charge at home, charge at work, and charge at public. So it's also interesting for a lot of people that at that site where you park your car, typically you can plug it in. And that's also our interest, because in the end, that a lot of batteries that will come up to the market are a part of the future energy world. And for us, it's useful to plug them. So I would say in every use case where your car is standing more than 10 to 15 minutes, it would be great that it's plugged for the whole energy system. And so we are working on all of these, and for especially the part of IONITY is not where we are working so much. We are trying to serve customers that have the will. Okay, I want to electrify my fleet, and this electrification happens then also from an infrastructure perspective for the people employed at a customer for at home and also at work. And we also serve then as an EMP, which is called eMobility provider, with a charge card or an app to charge their car, then at IONITY or any other CPO.
Okay, so the full service,
Yes.
kind of that around, like not just the charging network, but how to charge, how to pay for this, and something like that.
Exactly.
I think that is key for sure, but obviously maybe also Markus or IONITY, are there obstacles really to roll out the infrastructure? Or is there different per country in Europe, or what is the topic there?
Yeah, look, I guess I don't want to become political here, but there are obviously differences, and in terms of permissions, in terms of rights, but also in terms of what is the grid capacity and the availability of electricity out of the grid. And I guess we're here in Germany not the fastest in all of that, so there's a lot to be done. Because the one thing is, I mean, we're providing, on the one side, we're providing the hardware for DC fast charging to these guys, but it doesn't help if you have a 400 kilowatt charger, but at the end, the grid will not provide the electricity. So that part is significantly important. And what we see now, when I look on different countries, also how the infrastructure is built up and how the permissions are given, I mean, there's a lot of backlog there. So I guess the industry could be faster if we would have the from the one side, the grid availability, but then also on the permission side, a faster process there. And then we have also a lot of specialities. I mean, we are in European Union, but still there are specialities like Eichrechtskonformität, we talked about that. So there's a lot of extras always to be done. There's a lot of extra ideas on credit card terminals, on payment systems, etc. So if we come to a faster and simpler way on doing that, I guess that would help the whole electrification of the fleet.
Yeah, I think getting things organized and agreed and commonized, something like that. We have the question: is there a limit of fast charging? Obviously, something like that. So, Christopher, you are really into setting up the network. Where is the limit? How fast can it be? Can it ever be that quick as getting to the gas station and filling up my car?
I think yes. The short answer, yes. Obviously, the market is developing really fast. When I started at IONITY 6 years ago, there was basically the Tesla network in whole of Europe, and in Germany we had 50 kilowatt fast charging, where you had to wait 30 minutes to recharge 100 kilometers. Then, beside Tesla, we were actually the first company to develop or to deploy a 350 kilowatt network across Europe. And now we see 400 kilowatt charging hardware in the market, and I think this will just go on and go further. And also on the so the infrastructure side is getting better, but also the car side. So the cars now charging, we see passenger cars charging at a peak level of 350 kilowatts. Lotus Eletre, for example, but also the new Porsche Taycan takes 320 for quite a long time, and this was not imaginable 6 years ago. So looking another 6 years in the future, I think charging will be super fast.
Well, I guess if I might add to that,
Yeah.
I mean, and technically, we're looking here on passenger vehicles, but if you look technically on trucks, on bus market, well, that's what is done already. I mean, you go up to, in the first pilot cases, you go up to megawatt charging, and we're trying that out at the moment, but you have regularly 450, 600, which is normal standard there for buses and or up to that, not always, but for opportunity charging for buses. So that's already deployed. I'm not saying that will be happening in passenger cars in the next 1 or 2 years, but at least 800 volt standard up to 300, 350 kilowatt charging. That will be probably for a lot of the cars standard, not for all of them, but for a lot of them.
Yeah, I think the fast charge, particularly you talk to trucks, that's a topic we don't have touched so far there, but I think we talked about the e-fuels should go to the ones who cannot work with anything like the planes or the chips. But for trucks, obviously, there is a clear need for also having that when we talk about pollution, sustainability, and have them supported there. I think these are, we're talking later a bit still about the inductive charging, which maybe is particular in the logistic where you can better coordinate maybe where trucks or commercial vehicles are. But we're talking about make it quick, but I think from our perspective, what we also see is it should be seamless and easy as possible. You have the plug and charge solution currently now, so you don't have the hassle on going somewhere and pay. It's integrated in the car, so I can pay from the car or they recognize me and something like that. So any new innovations coming there up from the operation of the charging there? Maybe, Christoph, you have something, an idea?
I think also referring to the obstacles we have at the moment, honestly, we have to say energy is too expensive at the moment. Yeah. Therefore, we try in that end-to-end view, we try to bring up solutions for customers, maybe not on their highway, but when you imagine a company that has a huge flat, to integrate batteries, to integrate photovoltaic, because in the end, over the years, this will be the opportunity to really have cheap energy, and therefore we also have to be sure that we can store that energy to charge it or use it at the time needed. I think this is at the moment the way we try to bring up a solution to make it cheaper for the end customer, because in the end we have to be honest. If we want to push the electric mobility, we have somehow to find that lever also in costs. Sustainability, if it doesn't pay off, it's hard to bring through the companies, through the deciders that they will go for electrification. So this is for us at the moment the main focus, to be able to have a system ready for the customer modularly, where you can use photovoltaic and energy production in the end, and to bring that to the cars in a very, very efficient way, and maybe easily, best with DC charging, because then you have a short period of time where you can really transfer a lot of energy to the cars when the sun is shining. So to be really intelligent with that, this is how we try to tackle.
I think that's also driving here. There was a question about home integration and how this is V to grid and grid to V. I think these are topics definitely a handle of, and but the question is, as you said, the grid also need to grow and need to be ready for this. And there are circumstances we know also from other areas of the world which are clear. In Japan, the cars need to be ready. They had the earthquake, so they powered hoses from the cars around those. So I think there is a need, and but it takes a while. It's infrastructure. So we know in car development cycles are already too slow. We heard a lot. We need to be speedy more and something, but I think infrastructure cycles, we're talking years, decade, and something like that. And but money is a driver, obviously, and the different charging tariffs which are there can support. Different countries have different opportunities. Germany not so far, but maybe there's a change around that. Speaking seamless is obviously inductive charging. And that's for me super. I don't have to go to the car, bury like the cable somewhere and being dirty, standing in rain, also on that. What were your common use cases, Markus, around those?
Well, I guess there's also the question, will the inductive charging for cars, will it be possible in the near future? Technically, it's possible, and it's been done already. The point is that you define a standard there with the car manufacturers, the OEMs, so that it's a seamless thing, which not only works for your one brand, but for a lot more brands. So the use cases, what I see, I mean, the one you mentioned, which is clearly the comfort. So it's comfortable. Like any other wireless charging, it's more comfortable than and conductive charging. But that's only the one side. The other side is, and that comes in the direction we were talking before on how can we best buffer in electrical grids. So for a utility company, it's highly useful if cars are connected and they can use, in a future use case, the batteries of private cars as a buffer in the grid. The owner might trade or not. That's open to whatever is in the contract, but it gives you not unlimited, but a very big buffer for your grid in terms of to balance the capacity there. So that makes a lot of sense, and it's easier to have that inductive because you just park, it's connected. You don't have to wait that somebody's plugging in. So that's one use case we're looking at as one which will push the inductive charging. The other one is, and that's a little bit bet of the future, and there are a lot of discussions if autonomous driving will happen or not happen, and to which extent. But if you go for autonomous driving, I mean, it's not useful at all. I mean, there's nobody to plug in, right? So you need somehow a technology which supports that, and that will be also on the inductive side. So these are the three things: the comfort, probably autonomous driving, but then from a technical point of view, for me, the most important one is really to have that seamless connection, which always is created there, and you can buffer the grid and balance it out. So that makes, these are the things which will drive it. As a person, as a driver, I like the comfort aspect also, for sure.
Yeah, would be the fire, but the autonomous, obviously there, you already have these autonomous charging robots coming to the car and doing that, but with, I would say...
you have that inside of manufacturing sites. I mean, you have the robots which are driving around, they are normally charged already wireless, so there you don't need a standard like that, but it's already done on lower voltage levels, but it's done already, and that will be what we think also a future application for electric vehicles.
And for us as a utility company, absolutely every car that is plugged in or charged and can be recharged or can V2G, so bring also the energy to our grid, is absolutely the useful thing we have. So I really appreciate if we talk about that, if you try to bring that further, but standardization is the big key to have exactly not only one brand, but a lot of brands that can use that system also for bringing the end-to-end view together.
When we talk about home charging, also we have the wall plug, they need to be installed and something like that. We have another poll here, maybe the last one for the day for you to check then. What do you think will be common, more public or private charging, especially when we go to inductive or wireless in that situation? So that would be interesting for you to answer on this one, because obviously this is, for me, in my eyes, even maybe more complicated or even easier if I can just put something in my garage where I put there and don't have to find a wall plug for this done. Both very compromising here. Everything else super like that. What are you seeing? Is the use case more in the public? Is it more in the private car, passenger cars? Maybe more in the trucks? Where is the use case bigger, or the efficiency of that bigger?
So my opinion is that it's private only, and in very rare use case public. The fundamental background for those that are not 100% familiar, so the battery needs DC, direct current, and the grid has alternating current. And to charge a battery, you need to rectify AC to DC. And every car has an onboard charger. It's like the thing that you put in the socket to charge your phone, basically. It's called a rectifier. And cars typically have onboard chargers with a capacity of 11 to 22 kilowatts. This is an area where the weight is okay to handle, and the costs are still okay. Now, what a DC fast charger does, and Tesla pioneered that probably 15 years ago, they put the onboard charger from the car, stacked them 12 times in a compartment, and then they bypassed the onboard charger in the car and charged directly with direct current. Sorry for the long, long text, but with inductive charging, this is again alternating current. So you need to rectify in the car, and then the limiting factor becomes the onboard charger. And the bigger you make this, the more expensive it is, the heavier it is. And what we do is we put a lot of rectifying capacity in the charging station. And these chargers weigh 500 kilos, for example. And I think you don't want to drive that in a passenger car with you. Also, the use is much better if you have it on a charging station instead of the car. There might be, for trucks and buses or depot charging, I think we talked about it, things where you can use it, but in the passenger vehicle, I don't see high power charging wirelessly.
I think coming back to the original thing about the customer value, I think this is like where you need to look into. I mean, does it provide enough convenience or benefit for the customer to use it? Mm-hmm. And then I think it will be something that you can use either at work or at home or somewhere in the public. And I think most likely commercial applications might be a little bit more set it up for this one, because there, let's say you have the fleet operators, you have, let's say, people who are able to make decisions for a much bigger pool of cars, and it's not so much dependent on the individual. But I think in the end, if the customer sees a benefit and they are, let's say, willing or able to cover the cost, then for sure, I mean, it will be both or one or the other.
Yeah, yes, I mean, the standard which is set up at the moment, at the end, it's a question of standardization also. Mm-hmm. It will not work out if only one supplier will do that. That's set up for 11 kilowatt at the moment, and will probably go on to 22 kilowatt. I also do not expect something further on for the time being. And then you have the question wherever, set here both, wherever 11 kilowatt is used as a charging power, that's the application field. And you have more use cases in the residential area for that. Mm-hmm. You have some use cases in semi-public areas or at companies, and you will have use cases for that in bigger depots where fleets are charged. And why is that? Because not all the depots are charging on high power. A lot of these depots where you have distribution vehicles, they are charged overnight, and they are charged on low power. And that might be also an application field where we see then a public, semi-public, or also a completely private application. But it's more the power which will be used there, so therefore it will start with 11 kilowatt, mm-hmm. and that will drive the use cases also.
Just one scenario. So if you have, let's say, if you are not able to use the vehicle because someone forgot to plug it in the evening, then let's say inductive might be, let's say, already kind of a risk mitigator, because then you just park the car and it's automatically charged. Mm. So there are a lot of these things that you need to consider. It's not just the technical capability or whether it makes sense or not. There's a lot of more things that you need to consider in really making it work on the scale for the customer.
One topic from an actual project we do, we are trying to build up chargers within big parking houses, parking slots, and I think the future in there is that everything is working without any contact to the infrastructure. So you're driving in, your plate is photographed, so everything, also the payment is automatically done. And I think this is, honestly speaking, the way we want to provide services to our customers, that it's completely without any touch. And I think, so talking about the possibility to charge the car without plugging it in is what the customer will demand maybe in future, because he's used to drive in there and have all the services just on his app, Also, the billing is on this app, so he has to care about nothing, and his car is charged afterwards. He gets to the supermarket or something like that. I think building up that infrastructure, not only from the energy part, but also from where do I park my car, is exactly where I think our development has to go through to have an advantage with an electric car also, and to use the advantages also maybe for autonomous driving.
Well, yeah, therefore you see these huge ladder parks now building up there in our area. We're coming from Düsseldorf. We have there also one huge build up with a nice bakery, and you can meet. I know Audi also planning these hubs where every driver can have together and you can work there and something like that. So you're really making the experience now around that charging is something also for your network, and it's not a hassle anymore to charge, but it's something there. You have a lot of talks about the I would say commercial part, so kind of semi-public, for you have depots there or something like that in the commercial area. Are there any particular trends also in this commercial segment for the battery development? Is this you can derive from your request you get from your customers, or?
I mean, not so much. There are some trends that we see, like what I said, for 800 volt to make the charging more, let's say, faster. But apart from that, it's, yeah, I think we are still in the transition from combustion engine to electrification, and therefore also the customer really needs to, let's say, make this change in the cars, the usage of charging versus refueling. And there's still, I think, a lot of work ahead of us, also education, to get people in this kind of experience when it comes to this new technology. So.
New technology.
Yeah. I mean, Christoph mentioned that he is driving electric now for quite some time. I mean, I'm as well. I think everyone is doing so. I think we are already used to this kind of change, but I mean, you still have the range anxiety. There are a lot of people who haven't driven an electric car so far, but they have a lot of skepticism from what they hear in the news, what they see, and it's. I think that is a very challenging one to really bring it back to the essence and provide a value to the customer, and not just, let's say, be fearful.
Yeah. Well, there's one topic we have there on the question as well, is also EV. If the energy is not produced, I would say, in a or in a nice way, in a green way, and you're charging your EV with not good produced sources there. You talked about using your own solar panels, being totally independent or something like that. Is that a demand also from the customer, getting more independent and charging with green energy specific?
Absolutely. You know, there is one possibility to source green energy, and the other one is to use your opportunities on your roofs and everything around to produce also your own energy. And I think this is growing. This is really growing, because in the end, the investment, the capex investment that is then paying off in 8 or 10 years is bringing for a lot of customers now the assurance that they are investing in the right thing and they can do themselves. I know there are a lot of arguments against the energy sourcing, and that there is physically not every electron is green, for sure. But I think we have levers in our hands as companies. We can do something, and we can make it better locally. It's not only the others and and it's us. And that's I think is the big opportunity for a lot of customers to do something. And the demand is there at the moment. It's growing, as already said, and hopefully, yeah, it's not only E.ON. Others do also very good jobs in that. But let's try to do something.
I think we talk a lot about supply chain, insurance, and something like that. I was last week on a conference where Elon Musk was speaking about, and we were asking, what are the next crises coming around that, and something, obviously, we had the chip shortage and something, and he said, yeah, there will be, the ultimate crisis he sees coming is the shortage of energy. So that everybody again fighting for the energy resources and what to get there. producing your own energy is obviously proactive in doing that, but how do you see that? Will there be at one point really the fight of energy with everybody is electric? Is it the real thing or the right thing?
You mean for just transportation or everything?
Well, let's stick to transportation. Okay. It's huge enough, I would say, in all global sense there.
I think looking at Germany, I have a number in mind. I think it's 15% of the, or if we switch all cars to electric, we need 15% more electricity, so like kilowatt hours. I think that's doable, but of course transportation only is 20% of greenhouse gases, so there are other things that need to be electrified, which are even maybe harder to be electrified. But on the other hand, I think also the renewables, they are there, and we just need to build them. We need to make sure that building permit procedures of a windmill don't take 7 years. And if we speed up in this, I think we can tackle it, and we have to tackle the energy production like wind, solar, but also renew all the grids to transport the electricity from the production to where it's used. And yeah, it's a lot of things to do, but I think yeah, we just have to do it.
Yeah, probably to emphasize that I wouldn't see that the generation of energy will be the limiting factor. The limiting factor we're having at the moment is transmission distribution. Mm-hmm. And that's where, well, that can be solved, but it's investment and it takes time. That's the point here. Yes, there will be more demand for electricity, but demand can be covered by generation, but it has to be distributed or transmitted and distributed in the right way. And we see that in Germany already. I mean, you have where we have the renewable resources, it's not where the demand exists. We don't have these HVDC lines going from north to south, and well, that's how it starts. And then inside of cities, when you have different demands there, which have not been there in the past, their transportation plays a role. You have to invest into distribution grids, otherwise it will not work out.
Yeah, it's chicken and egg, I think, or it's something to solve.
And you have to do everything at the same time, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
everything at the same time, but it still takes time.
Therefore, the argument it's well, is it problematic that the energy used for manufacturing and charging electric vehicles is not environmentally friendly? Yes, probably not at the moment to 100%, but should that hinder us to invest into electrical infrastructure? No, it should not. At least that's my point of view to it.
And talking about the grids, that's already done. We are investing billions of euro to make that grid work for the future. It's not only the transportation. We are in an age of electrification now, and that's and it's not only investing into copper. It's also investing into intelligence in that grid. I just want to mention that. So we are constantly working on that, but maybe we are a little bit late. Yeah, that's sure. But we will accelerate, and we will also get things done. I'm pretty sure it's yeah, we can argue about it. I would say let's do something, everyone.
Yeah, well, we know us German. We always see the downside first before we do it. But yeah, we had somebody saying we can do it, so why not do it now also with electrification there? There are some more topics around like charging station across Europe. So there have been obviously diagnostic, the goals the European Commission has set. They said 7 million, yeah, we said 6.4 million charging points around Europe by 2030 to reach that goal. We discussed that, you said you're all on your way. The question is, I think from our experience, it not needs to be charging station. I think it's also where should be the charging stations maybe. Are there strategies around that? Is it decided by country, or how it's really at the moment also for you decided where to install the charging stations?
So the main focus over the last 6 years was highways. And we said, okay, let's electrify Europe in 24 countries. That's also quite ambitious in the first place. We focus on long distance travel, and we gradually move towards more urban areas, which doesn't mean that we go into the city centers, but the ring roads connected to the highways. because we see a huge demand not only for long distance travel, but also in the more urban areas where people cannot charge at home or at the workplace, where we also see DC fast charging as the way to go. Does that answer the question?
I think so. And I think we have hurry up with everybody, maybe have the last message you want to leave the audience there. I think we have one expert talk then, and then we have some drinks. So what message you want to give to the audience there? André, maybe you want to start.
Yeah, I think for us as, let's say, someone who is more on the B2B side, because we are dependent on the OEMs to make the right choices with their customer, it is really important that we collaborate together and really look into, let's say, how can we make this transition fast and take the customers with us, because I think this will only be the way how it works in the long run, to provide a solution that the customer is able to buy and still gets the most out of it when it comes to range and charging capability. And also later then to, let's say, to retain the value of the product that he has purchased in the long run.
Well said, I would say. Otherwise, the customer will not accept that. Markus, from your view?
Yeah, I guess emphasizing on that part of partnership. On the one side, if we talk about grids, if we talk about EV charging infrastructure, that has to go hand in hand. But then also on the other side, if we talked about inductive charging. These partnerships around the industry to set up standards and to drive that's important. Otherwise, we will not move the needle.
Yeah, what should I say? I mean, DC fast charging is a very important factor for people making the switch from combustion engine vehicle to EV. We're not the only one to build these networks, and I'm grateful that these networks are being rolled out everywhere. And I think it takes the range anxiety, and people are ready to switch to EV.
Collaborating is the key, not only for us, that we already do, but also for the internal company parts like corporate real estate management that has to care about infrastructure, maybe also PV, the people that purchase energy, and the people that bring up fleet cars for their employees. So I would say collaboration in every sense. So for us as industry, but also for the companies to work together differently than in the past, not only buying cars, but making up your mind, what can I do to supply my cars with green energy, and making that intelligent is the key.
Perfect. Collaboration. I take that with me, and hopefully you all. Perfect for leave you a bit and then collaborate on the network event there. Thank you all for being here and also staying that late here.